Hey guys, Owen Jones here from Doc Talk. I got my co-host here, Jason, of course, and we got a special guest, Jon Wasleske. Jon, say hi.
What's up, guys?
So Jon was the best man at my wedding. We've known each other, over 20 years.
I was thinking about this on the way here, and I think it's been 20 years because I think we met
that's crazy.
2004.
That is right, actually.
Yeah.
Long 20 years.
That's
yeah.
a full
long
adult
time.
life.
That's a long time.
That's a long time for some people. So we played music together. We went to college together. We've traveled all over, fun stuff. And Jon ended up coming over and working with me in real estate before Doc Talk. So speaking of real estate, I mean, Jason and I are interested about this because we were talking about, actually today.
We were talking about that today.
We were talking about how he was saying, if I sell my house, if I buy a house, I'm not going to sell my house because my rate is sub 3%. Like, it'd be crazy to sell it.
Yep.
And I'm just curious what your take is on that. Like, I feel like a lot, you've said the same thing about your house.
Yep.
I think there's a lot of people. And so what does that do supply-wise to the market? I mean, how is that? Obviously, that affects, you got all these people with really low rates locked. They don't want to get rid of them.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's a lot working into the equation, I guess. But what we're seeing is just a shrinkage of inventory, and it's actually driving up the homes that are available.
Yeah.
So we're seeing less homes. The interest rates haven't been drastically high enough where it actually is affecting the number of buyers.
Yeah.
People still are searching for that dream home.
And what does an interest rate look like for like a 30-year mortgage?
This year they've been kind of hovering between like 6.5%, 7.25%, which historically isn't really that high.
Yeah.
If you go back 20, 30 years.
Yeah.
But I think we were a little spoiled for a few years.
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
In that, high 2s, 3s, and 4s.
Money was cheap.
Yeah.
Free money.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's causing a lot of people to stay where they're at, which I get.
Yeah. Especially since like new construction's gone nuts.
Yep. The cost of building is expensive. Really, I mean, the cost of everything's gone up. So that's why there's a lot that kind of goes into that equation. But builders are building less. Less people are moving because they're locked into those lower interest rates. And there's still a lot of people looking, so it's driving up the prices for the homes that are available.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's crazy. Just a simple search on realtor.com for Wausau.
Yeah.
It's like 125 homes. And then
Jason, I brought my homework here. I can give you
tell you.
stats.
Okay, let's hear the actual
This is the
number.
one thing that I did beforehand.
Hey, look at that little handwritten notes.
Sketchy handwriting.
Yeah.
But no, I do look at this every quarter just to kind of see how does this compare to last year, right? Like, where are we at in the market? Because a lot of people ask, at parties, at dinners, just out in public, people know you work in real estate. You kind of have to keep up with the market trends. So you're close. So in the Wausau area, currently there are 161 homes for sale.
That's any price range.
Any price range. That's single family homes. Now, out of that number, only 48 are actually available where you could go and look at them today.
So the others are under contract or
they're
something?
under contract, yeah.
Wow.
And I did a little breakdown. This will give you an idea.
48.
Under 200,000, which used to be a very popular
Price point, yeah.
There's 7 available.
Wow. Under 200,000.
Under 200,000.
Wow, that's insane.
If you go up from there, 200 to 300, you got 10 houses available, and over 300,000, the 300 to 500,000 point, you got 16, and over 500,000, you have 14. So that's kind of how that 48 breaks down. But yeah, it's been a problem in our area for a while, and I don't really see the lack of inventory changing. We need more homes for people. So
yeah, I read
a really good time to sell.
Yeah, I read an article. They were talking about this all stems from 2008. Essentially, we're paying our dues now, and this article, and we're not going to put it on whatever. It doesn't matter. It was a legitimate news source. They talked about, coming out of 2008, and we know some of these contractors that were, spec home contractors that built homes that, lost their business, in the recession there. And then when they came, when it started to come back out, call it like, 2012 or something, it starts to get a little better. They get back into construction, but not as a spec home builder. They get back in to do siding or do decks for other contractors.
Yep.
And the contractors that do spec, maybe they would normally spec 10 homes. Now they're specing 1 or whatever. It's, it's a compressed amount. And then you do that for 10 years.
Yep.
And it also said there's for every 20 contractors that retire, 7 enter the market. That's a bad ratio.
Yeah. I mean, and what we were talking about earlier, Jason, a lot of these people that are staying in their homes, may consider moving, but then they're hopping into this buyer pool where there's 48 homes available. It's like, where are you going to go? So then they decide to stay put. So it's all kind of connected into this tangled mess we got here. But,
I think of the impact even beyond just the real estate. It's a company trying to recruit somebody.
Yeah. Where are you going to live?
To the area. And usually the first thing you would do is, okay, I have a job offer. Let's go look for a house. There are none. Yep. Now what?
And even apartments. There's no apartments.
There's a housing shortage. It's just everywhere.
I mean, Owen, you probably can attest to this back when you started in real estate as well. But the market in our role has changed a lot. I mean, when we had, we always joke when we had somebody come to us that says, hey, I got pre-approved, I'm ready to buy. We knew they were going to buy something. We just had to find the right one out of this pile of homes, and you were able to come back and look at it a second time, or maybe bring mom and dad.
2 weeks, you knew you were getting something.
Yeah, mom and dad could come back for a third showing. Yeah. You could write in a home inspection contingency. You could write in any contingency you wanted because the buyers really held the power in that market. This was, 2014, 2015, but it's completely flipped. So, I feel terrible when I bring somebody through a home. I say, all right, make a decision. It's going to be gone tomorrow. Yeah. And that is tough. That's not something we enjoy saying.
It's not a fun
But
thing.
if you're serious about finding something, you got to act fast.
Yeah.
So
that's brutal.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. It's crazy. It's not related to housing, but also related to real estate. I'm building car washes in Florida.
Yep.
And I found this lot. I actually found the lot. This is why it's so frustrating. I actually found this lot in October. I think it was October last year. Went down there, looked at it. It looks pretty good. Submitted it for approval. It's a franchise-based car wash and got approved. Okay, great. And then, it took us a really long time to get our LLC in Florida and like EIN and all. It was a lot slower than what it is here. I can do it in a day here, but it's I think because we're not residents, it's just whatever. It's more complicated. So we got all that figured out. So long and short of it is, I did get an accepted offer on that lot this morning, actually, which is kind of...
Congrats.
Yeah, thank you. Which is kind of interesting. But the, the price I bought it at is 25% more than it was listed at in October. And I was competing with 2 other buyers.
Wow. Yeah.
And that's a vacant... Well, it's not even... It's vacant and it's an old Sonic that's like abandoned that looks like they shot The Walking Dead there.
Yeah.
So it has to be raised and all that. I mean, all that infrastructure is still there.
Yeah. Oof. Now, grading I don't think is going to be bad, but it's just interesting because that's commercial.
You should just reopen the Sonic.
Yeah.
Cherry Limeades.
I feel like Sonic is having a rough go of it lately. Maybe. I don't know that for sure.
Yeah, I think...
That's a speculative comment.
I mean... everyone wants everything fast in today's world, right? Even food. So I think Sonic's more of that old school, like A&W where you pull in, you have somebody come out to the car. I mean, it's kind of a cool nostalgic feel, but maybe not for today's, I don't know, marketplace.
Yeah, it is interesting.
We're speculating.
But yeah, now they're doing like those little, I forget the name of the company, but they're like, it is I don't know I think it's a franchise. I see them all over in Florida now, and now they're kind of, I think they're going to build some here. But they're like those, it's like that micro drive-through coffee shop kind of thing.
Yep.
Where it's like one person
Caribou.
It's like
Caribou's kind of doing that.
Yeah.
model.
Caribou
Yep.
or
Yeah.
Scotties, I think, is another one I've seen.
It's called like 7-8 or I can't think of it. I can like kind of picture it. And they have like some smoothies and coffee, and it's like 2 muffins. You know, what I
Yeah.
mean, it's like pretty.
Yeah.
You basically, but it's really fast because it's super, a super condensed.
I will say I was in Minneapolis. It was probably 2 weeks ago, and I was trying to find a coffee shop to do some work, and it routed me to a Caribou, and I said, perfect. But it actually was one of those where you couldn't go in. So I'm like, all right,
yeah,
I'm going to go find somewhere else.
that's not going to work. Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, I think, that the whole coffee world's kind of crazy. It's, the idea of like how much money that behemoth generates. It's insane.
I've been with you when you were searching for coffee in the morning.
Ooh,
Yes.
That's not a good place to be.
That's
with
not
I'm
that.
a
good
coffee
place.
snob, and if I don't get my coffee, everybody
It's
suffers.
the same thing as holding the flashlight for my dad when I was young.
Yeah.
You
Same-
drop
same-
that down.
Find Owen his coffee shop.
Yeah.
I'm the same way. I mean, Owen and I have traveled a lot together.
Yeah.
So we usually try to go somewhere local.
We try
But
if we can,
yeah.
which I do here also. I hit, shout out to Clean Slate, good coffee.
Yeah.
Also very close to my house. Good breakfast sandwiches. However, one complaint I have on that is you have to call it in, which, what is this, the 80s? I have to call in my order.
Really?
Yeah.
They have a drive-through though, don't they?
You got to call it in if you're going to go through the drive-through and get a sandwich.
Got to get an app.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of wild.
It's a new concept.
Are you seeing, John, so back to
Yeah,
real estate,
sorry.
are you seeing, do you guys do, I mean, I'm not seeing anything like Waterfront. What has happened there? Like, it's just nuts.
Yeah. I mean, I did look today too. I think there were 2 or 3 maybe in Marathon County that are waterfront. And they tend to go fast. They're obviously, depending on what it is, right? We don't have a lot of vacant lots that are
Yeah.
ready to build on the water. They've all been snatched up.
Yeah.
But yeah, usually priced on the higher side for our area, and
Yeah.
they typically go fast. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that is crazy. I mean, I'm always kind of poking around looking at that kind of stuff. I mean, part of the problem is guys like Colton, right, who got a new house and kept their,
Yeah.
it's very selfish.
You're no longer safe back there, Cole.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to start bringing you in.
Owen's coming.
I was
for
hoping-
you.
Is this like The Office? Now we
Yeah, it
can
could be.
show the-
Yeah,
show
camera
the-
flips around. Colton. Little did you know. Yeah, I was kind of hoping Colton had his laptop because I was going to ask him some questions, but we'll have to do that on the next one.
Yeah, I tried to trade spots with them before.
Yeah,
before we started
that's true.
this,
You
but-
did in your defense, John. He's just shaking his head. Anyway, yeah. So, all right, let's talk about aliens. So,
Wow. What a pivot.
let's talk about vaccines.
Oh, that's another pivot.
Joe Rogan podcast. over
Music.
here. No.
Yeah. Okay. Music. Yeah, I know some stuff about. John, tell us about music. What are you listening to these days?
Man, I feel like I'm kind of going back to stuff that I listened to like 5 or 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing. The nostalgic.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Somebody told me once that whatever you're listening to when you're between the ages of 20 and 30, you kind of always revert back to that. And I think that's kind of true.
I think it is too. Yeah.
I'm always like, I kind of have an ear for, are always open to new music, but I don't know. Some of the stuff that's coming out now is a little strange.
It's
but
strange. I
yeah.
would agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it's just kind of like somewhat boring, I guess.
Sure.
That's really how I would describe it. It's sort of like it has like a ton of potential, but it doesn't go anywhere.
Yeah. I mean, there's some artists that I think are still kind of pushing the envelope, like, like Billie Eilish. Everything she does seems kind of in a different
Yeah.
realm. And I
Her
think that's
brother-
really cool.
Reinvention every
she's
time.
very
Yeah.
talented, but her brother
Yeah.
is really like he's the crazy talent behind
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Her brother is
Does a lot of the producing
insane.
and
Yeah,
stuff.
I don't know
but-
much about her, but I listen to her stuff.
Yeah,
for
her
sure.
brother is so talented. He's
Yeah.
amazing at
Yeah.
what he does.
I mean, there's some newer artists like, is it Noah Khan? Is that how you say it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that is how you
he's
say it.
My
he's
daughter
kind of
introduced
blowing
me
up.
to him,
Yeah,
yeah.
and like I think it's good. It kind of has almost like a Mumford and
Ben
Sons.
Howard, does that ring a bell?
Ah,
Yeah.
the Mumford Bond.
Yeah, Ben Howard. That's a new one that I just
Yeah,
picked up on.
yeah, but I don't know. I mean, I guess kind of like always searching for something new that maybe catches my ear. But
What about live music? Are you doing anything live now that we're out of pandemic lockdowns?
yeah, I try to. I mean, obviously, like busy season coming up with work here, but
Yeah.
I'm not really like a festival guy anymore.
Yeah.
Just, I'd rather see
You don't
like a
porta potties.
smaller club show. Yeah,
I'll be at the Orpheum this Sunday.
really.
Sunday
Oh yeah,
night.
that's where you seen.
The Wood Brothers.
Okay, awesome.
Yep.
That'll
That'd
actually
be
be
good.
really good.
Yeah,
Sunday night. So
yeah.
we seen Green Sky Bluegrass there the 3rd of March. Well, actually not at the Orpheum. They were at the Sylvie, which is a really good venue. Shout out to the Sylvie.
Madison, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And on the 22nd, we actually go see Godsmack. They're doing
At the Orpheum?
at the Orpheum.
I didn't know. They were
Yeah,
still
doing an acoustic
touring.
set.
Cool.
Yeah.
You know what I remember about that band is, do you guys remember the show MTV Cribs?
Yeah, of course.
They had the singer. I don't remember.
That
the
was a
singer's
really
name.
good show back
Yeah,
then.
it was actually really clever. In fact, that guy that's like famous on Instagram, that's what he does, is show people's places or whatever. You know what I'm talking about?
No, I don't know.
Colton, who am I talking about? He's in New York, and
Just randomly goes to their houses.
he
knocks
walks
on
into
their
him
door.
on the street
or
runs into him on the street. Hey, where do you live? How much is it?
Yep.
Can I see
Can
your
I
place?
see your place?
And I'm sure he tells, he asks 30 people and they all tell him, like, I'm calling the police.
Yeah, I was
But then
gonna say
one of
that's
them
what
makes the
happened to me.
cut and he
Yeah.
actually goes and sees it. And he does it, now he's like kind of famous.
Oh,
so
okay.
like he'll do it, like there's celebrities that are like, sure,
Yeah.
you can come up. Like,
So
because
one
they
of the
know
guys
him.
from Godsmack was on the show.
No, I'm just
Oh.
thinking about it because MTV Cribs is kind of like the OG of that.
For sure.
And it is a clever idea, and I'm surprised from like a professional standpoint, no one's gone back to that because people do want to creep on celebrities' homes. I want to know what it looks like.
Definitely.
I just want to know.
Have you guys watched that second or Full Swing on
Oh, yeah.
on Netflix?
That's
Yeah.
really good, actually.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
and
with JT and all those guys.
yeah, I mean, I feel like that was kind of but I'm always interested to see like where's Brooks Koepka live? Like what is
Then
his
you
house
look it up on Zillow, and you're like, cool, 28 million.
But I feel like that was a great. No, to your point though, that should be a show idea. Maybe HGTV could rehab
Yeah.
MTV Cribs, but I don't know if they're owned by the same company. But that
Disney.
was such a cool insight into like athletes that
Yeah.
because golfers are kind of they're kind of mysterious. You just
I
see
didn't
'em,
realize how
kinda
much.
buttoned
And now
up.
you're not even a golfer. I don't care.
Yeah,
I didn't even realize how much they travel,
I
like how
fish.
intense that is. You know what I'm saying though? Like those guys, every Thursday they start a new tournament through Sunday.
It's a grind. Yeah,
I mean, it's like, and then it's not, they don't get a break. Like they play through Sunday and they're practicing on Monday, Tuesday. And then usually Monday they're practicing. And then Tuesday they're flying to the next tournament to get used to the.
I don't think they do a
used
good
to it.
enough job of introducing the golf fans to that.
I agree
part
with
of
you.
it. I think that would
For how popular
would be
golf
more
as a
meaningful.
sport
Yeah.
is, why don't we know the players better?
That,
Yeah.
and I
it is a
agree,
mystery.
but I watched. I think I'm halfway through the second season now, but they kind of profile a different golfer in each episode and kind of give more of their backstory. And there was some tournament on last weekend, and I'm like, oh yeah, I was more invested because I knew
Yeah,
kind of
kind
more
of
of the
knew
story.
what they're. Yeah,
But
what was the guy? Is it Joel? He's like kind of funny, wears like the bucket hats. and
Yeah,
he's-
I think like Damar.
something
I don't
like
know,
that.
something like
yeah.
that, yeah.
He's like, he doesn't look. He looks like he works at Radio Shack. Okay,
Yeah, and his caddy is like his best friend.
his best friend,
Yeah.
and they
You
like
just can't help.
I
but
mean,
root for
obviously
him.
he's an insane golfer. He's on the tour, but as far as like golfers on the tour, he's not that great. he's kind of
I
at the
think he's
bottom.
doing better this year.
Maybe he is. Yeah, he was kind of at least on Full Swing. They didn't paint him in a great light.
Maybe he'll be our next guest.
That could be. Yeah, Joel. Hey,
That'd be
you're
a
not
big
doing
get.
anything.
Yeah, that'd be a big get.
Yeah.
Try to get a hold of him, Colton.
Yeah, Colton. Why don't you text him?
Have you guys seen the second season of that show yet?
I've seen a few of them.
So I think they did an episode on him, and they kind of talked about like his newfound fame from the first season.
Oh, okay.
yeah, which is cool. But
That's funny,
So maybe
yeah.
you can't get him. He might be out of your
Yeah.
your grade.
He's out of the league. Sorry, guys.
Then try Joe Rogan. See if we can
Yeah.
get him on.
There you go.
Joe, come on. Yeah, that is funny. So you mentioned fishing. So when does that season start?
I mean, with the weather we had a few weeks ago, it was
Never?
already starting.
Yeah.
I was going to say, isn't fishing year round?
It is for the most part. Yeah.
Yeah. If you like to sit on a bucket.
But right now, everybody, of course, the big thing coming up in the official opening day for Wisconsin is the first weekend in May.
Okay.
So, like tournament season, of course, we just watched the Bassmaster Classic. I shouldn't say I did. And a guy that we know a little bit, Adam Rasmussen, took second place from Sturgeon Bay.
That's awesome.
Third place was a young guy from
So why don't you
Stevens
explain what the Bassmaster is? Because if I'm being honest with you, I didn't know how important. I'd heard of it, but I didn't know. So explain it.
So I guess the Bassmaster Classic is the equivalent of the Super Bowl of bass fishing. And legitimately it is. There's 56 fishermen that are able to get into the tournament through a variety.
Yeah, so it's similar
methods,
to golf, right? We were talking about this, where you have like semi-pro, pro tours.
You have to be
and
like
you got to like qualify.
So they qualify by winning a tournament in another series. And, there are some guys that have been chasing their dream. Like for Adam, I think he's like 40 years old. He's been chasing that dream for a long time and qualified, got into the tournament, and ended up taking second place. And we watched the whole thing. It's phenomenal how they gear up to it.
Second was like a multi-six-figure payout.
I'm not sure it was that, but I mean,
it's a six-figure payout.
The endorsements following that, and all of the notoriety that comes with that second
so
place
do
finish.
People watch it live? I'm
it's
clueless
like
to this
Fox
too.
Sports.
Okay.
I think it was FSN. So it's a 3-day tournament.
They have camera crew out and
camera crew. 3-day tournament.
Is it just like GoPros, or do they actually have people with cameras?
No, there's cameras out there.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
Wow. That's a lot of cameras.
Of course, they obviously the goal is to catch as much accumulative weight as you can.
So they give you like 5. You can keep 5 fish.
Yep.
So as you catch them, you can re-up. Okay,
so
this one's
start,
bigger.
I think it's like 7 to 3, 8 to 3, and then after day 2, they group what they call the Super 6. So those are the top 6 from overall weight, and then day 3, the top 25, I believe, 20 or 25 fished the third day. And then, they're weighing and reporting their weights live.
Sure.
But it's interesting because in the fishing world, when it gets to like the last 4 hours of day 3, the weights stop because the fishermen do like the sandbagging thing. They don't want to let everybody know because one fish can flip you from first to third or first to fifth.
So there might be a little bit of.
So they
So
purposefully
you kind of don't know what your opponents
so at that
do. Okay, so there is some strategy.
There's some strategy. At the end of the tournament, when they bring all the guys on and they're weighing their bag, you're not going to know
that you're actually
right. So
that's actually makes it more interesting.
You have an idea, and I think Adam day 3 brought in a bag of 18 pounds 6 ounces, and I was certain, based on the morning watching him fish and what he was weighing, that he was going to get it. And it just so happened that the guy in first place, I think he lost only by a pound 6 ounces, somewhere around there. But one
it's
fish
not much
would have pivoted him to first place, which is...
You know what vision I have in my head?
Yeah.
You ever watch those figure skating competitions where they bring the skater into a box with like the coach at the end and they announce the score and they kind of have an idea.
Yeah. They're like, and judges.
That's what I picture. I picture
judges and they're sitting there.
Yeah.
That's interesting. So, I haven't seen figure skating in a long time. Do they still?
Yeah, I think they still do that. They put you in a little almost like a penalty box.
Yeah.
But it's not, and then the judges announce their score, but they kind of have an idea, based on the routine. But that's what I picture. I picture the fishermen just sitting there waiting for their scores to roll in.
First place is 300,000.
Yeah, so it's still pretty significant.
Yeah. It's just,
it's fishing.
Obviously, it's everything that comes after the fact.
Yeah. The sponsors.
The sponsorships and the endorsements and whatnot. But I would say I've always known about it. I watched it last year, but this year, because obviously we fished with Adam, it was more interesting because you've actually met a person that's fishing this tournament.
Yeah, you're invested. Where do they do it? Do they change locations?
They changed locations. This year it was in Oklahoma. Next year I think it goes to Florida. I I think it's Florida or Texas.
Well, they should rotate it. Otherwise,
they rotate it.
People that have been in it three times
But
have a
speaking
huge
of
advantage.
but speaking of a grind, like we were talking about with golf, it's the same type of thing. These guys just don't show up day one of the tournament and start fishing. They're down there pre-fishing. The one thing in the bass fishing world, obviously there's a boat, there's gear. They're driving everywhere. They hook up their boat to their truck and they go cross country. The young guy from Point, he mentioned that. He's like, I'm traveling all over this country with my boat and my truck. And it's not necessarily a life of luxury.
Yeah.
It's a grind, but it's phenomenal. It's phenomenal. And they interviewed one of the OG gentlemen that won the tournament years ago back in the 70s. And in the 70s, they treated bass fishing like gambling. And they thought it was just pure luck.
Can you gamble on fishing? Is it on DraftKings or something?
That would be, this is a good idea.
But what's interesting is it took him many years he finally ended up with, I believe it was Bush Sr. and Jr. and him on a platform speaking to people to say, look, there is a lot more to this.
Sure.
Than just
it's not
throwing
luck.
something in the water and hoping for the best.
No, I know that from watching your son.
Yeah, I mean,
who's been on this podcast.
Yeah, there's science, there's water temperature, barometric pressure, colors, sunlight, cloud cover. I mean, there's so much that plays in. I've been with Noah and we have seen fish on his graph 20 feet from us, and you're throwing everything at them and they just won't care. Bite. Yeah. You go back there in the afternoon and the sun's maybe out and the temperature's changed and boom, now you can't catch them fast enough.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
It is really crazy.
That's interesting. Yeah, I mean, I feel like the general connoisseur, I guess, of that, or you know, everyone. It's kind of like golf, I guess. If you're comparing the two, where it's something that everyone probably could do, but they don't understand the intricacies of it.
Yeah, and we all know what first-time golfers. There's a few that work here. Yeah. Well, definitely one.
Are you shouting out Colt? No.
There's one. Sorry.
Sorry, Jeff. Come on now, Jeff. I will fall on the sword, Jeff. And I will even say I am worse than Jeff. I can assure you of that.
I don't know.
Jeff has gotten better, actually, in Jeff's defense.
I think golf probably similar to fishing. You can enjoy it even if you're not good.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah. I mean, how can you not enjoy having a nice beverage in a nice landscaped area? Yeah. It's better than doing it at the cemetery, right?
I mean, we have the Weston Country Club right over here.
Yeah. Crane Meadow. The swamp.
I just remember that.
You're not a member there?
No, I just remember that place full of mosquitoes.
Yeah. Just waft.
Yeah.
They just pick you up and carry you into the woods.
Yeah. That's not their fault, though.
No. Yeah, they have those really old school gas
the mowers
carts that
the carts.
Pop, 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 pop.
You know, got to pull the choke out.
Yeah. You're like,
am I going to get there? Go faster.
Sometimes they do. That's true. Yeah.
I think that's one thing I would suggest to anyone that's young is to try to find a sport you can do in your older years. Like fishing or golf. Like I started curling about 4 years ago.
Yeah, that's right.
Which is like another.
I'm interested in that.
I've gotten really into it. Yeah,
I mostly like the craft beer, but I would do some curling.
Yeah,
too.
I've driven past the curling.
It's beautiful.
Club
the curling club.
I'm very interested in that.
Yeah,
John will introduce you to all the people.
Yeah. No, it's it's kind of like one of those sports where you can do it. You know, it's a lifetime activity.
Yeah.
And I think it's kind of the more you do it, it's kind of like golf. There's the more intricacies, the more involved you're in, the more intricacies there are.
So what's the name of the brushing thing? Is that one position on that, or does everybody have to do that?
Yeah, everyone. For the most part. So there's 4 players traditionally on a team. I mean, they're in Olympic events and various events. You can do doubles, which is two versus 2, but traditionally you had 4 players. And there's positions. So the skip is actually the guy at the other end of the ice, and he's kind of like the quarterback out there. He's calling the shots, he's calling the game, the strategy, and then there's a vice skip. So he sweeps the majority of the time, but would take over for the skip when the skip throws. So there's 8 rocks, and everyone throws 2 rocks. So everyone does get some sweeping in, yeah.
So,
All right, so what are you? Are you a skip or a vice skip?
Yeah, so this is my 4th year curling. So I started skipping 2 years ago, and I was kind of forced into it because nobody else wanted to. But
That's fair.
usually
That's
it's
the
the
one way to do it.
more experienced position, and there's a lot of pressure because the skip throws the last rock, right? The last 2 rocks actually. So they call the shots and they call the sweep calls. So if you call for a sweep and the rock goes flying through the house, the guy who threw it's going to be really pissed off.
So what does the sweeping do? Because I have
don't
no idea
understand.
about
Yeah.
anything.
Is it
so I'm
real or
curious.
is it fake?
It's real. So the ice is actually, it's not traditional like a hockey rink or skating rink. So it's actually pebbled. So when you release a rock, it will curl, and it depends. Again, you kind of have to watch. Depends on the night how much curl you get. But sweeping will usually drive the rock straighter and not increase the speed, but maybe maintain the speed it's at.
Okay.
So if you're looking for, we call it like a takeout shot, and and they're really narrow and it's bending and curling, you're going to call for a heavy sweep because you want to keep that rock on a straight line to hit the opponent's rock.
So is this a sport where, I think of like bowling, where you all have your own ball? Do you have your own stones you bring there? Or those are all
Maybe at a
universal?
professional level,
pretty
but
standard. Okay.
yeah, there's an exact weight. They all are. I think it's like 48 pounds. That sounds about right. They're heavier than you think.
That is pretty heavy, actually.
Yeah. But usually, our facility is actually, not to plug it, but it is pretty renowned. It's newer. They just hosted some junior championship there.
Wow.
They're always hosting events from around,
I want to say,
around the
didn't
country.
like
But
Team USA practice there or something once?
yeah, we have one of our members is on the like handicap Olympic team.
Okay.
And he's from the area, so yeah, you always see him around the club, and
That's cool.
he's an incredible curler. So yeah,
What about the sweepers? Are those like carbon fiber, or are those just like
yeah. So again, it's like anything. It's like golf clubs.
you can spend
right?
a ton of money?
Yeah,
on it?
yeah.
Oh, interesting. So
Technology
there's layers
changing.
of quality
Yes.
and everything
Yep,
built
the
into
more you
this.
spend.
Okay.
Yep. There's
There always is.
shoes. There's specific shoes.
Really?
Yeah, yeah.
Wait,
Yeah,
what
the
do
more
you
get
guys
into it.
wear? I just picture everyone in like Red Wings.
How do you not split your pants? Because every time I roller skated when I was a kid, I always split
Yeah.
my pants.
Do
My
they serve
corduroys always
pancakes?
split.
Right.
So
So,
how do you not-
you're not supposed to wear jeans.
Feel
or
like a
anything like that.
lumberjack.
Usually like when people start, they usually do like sweatpants or like a
Okay.
like a wind pant or something. But they do make like specific curling pants if you're really into it.
Curling pants, so they're okay. Wow.
They're insulated. It's cold. You're out on the ice, so yeah.
Do you have curling
I don't
pants?
know.
You have to ask.
Yeah, we
Colton
did-
has curling pants.
Yeah.
He's
He
just
wears
not
them to
saying
work.
anything.
I know he's just laughing over there. Our team this year, we've always done like a club play here, but they have tournaments throughout the state that you can go, and they call it a Bonspiel, right? Which is like their curling fancy
Okay.
term for a tournament. But
Now I know what that means. 'Cause
Yeah.
I've seen that before.
Yeah, it's usually a day of curling and
I was
drinking
totally
and
ignorant
food
to
and-
the.
It made me thirsty.
it's
Well,
this whole
you
world.
mentioned
yeah,
craft beer.
Yeah.
which is
Near
a
and
part of
dear
it
to-
too.
So
My
correct
heart.
me if I'm wrong, John.
Yep.
And maybe is this just our curling club, or is it all curling clubs? You become a member and then like you help serve behind the bar. It's like you don't get paid. You like volunteer. Is it
Yeah.
once a month or what is it?
Yeah, so the way it works at our club is part of being a member is they want you to volunteer 10 hours a year because it's a nonprofit
Yep.
and they need people to help with these Bonspiels and tournaments. But yeah, that's usually a volunteer opportunity is bartending. So that's usually what I hop on, and it's a good way to meet people,
But
kind
oh,
of connect.
yeah.
now
with
is the
community.
beer? Do you have to pay for it? Or
No,
is it?
it's included in the dues.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Wow.
Yeah.
Dangerous.
Sign me up.
It's
John.
dangerous. Yeah. Hey, come on
I'll
down.
throw
We're
some
always looking for
rocks.
members. Yeah.
I mean, I don't have any.
I could get
discretionary
into
time.
that just because it's.
Yeah.
There's a lot of strategy behind it.
Yeah. It's kind of, I don't know, maybe like pool mixed
Yeah.
with like
Kind of pool and
bowling,
bowling.
me a
sort of.
little
Yeah.
bit, or shuffleboard. Yeah. Yeah. A lot of, the more you get into it, we've had a chance to play some pretty, high level teams over the last year. And, you learn so much playing a team like that because you're like, oh, I didn't even see that shot, and I didn't even see the triple takeout with the angle out the back.
You just led me into that. So like in the world of bowling, the 300 game.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. The perfect game.
The perfect
That's
game.
your neighbor.
Is there a perfect?
There is 8-ender. You get all 8 rocks in play, and they out count the other team. So it's pretty rare. Probably about as rare as a 300 game.
Neat.
Colton, what were you trying to tell me? Okay.
We're just warming up, Colton.
Yeah, we got another hour. Haven't you watched Rogan? It's like 2.5 hours. Everyone, get your popcorn.
To some animal somewhere that can rip you in half.
Yeah, everyone's asleep, but that's okay.
It's fine. It's kind of interesting.
That is my plug, though. I mean, I wouldn't say it doesn't have to be curling, doesn't have to be golf. It can be whatever, but find something to stay active.
I agree.
Yeah, I agree with you.
100%.
Staying active, having a hobby you're passionate about, that's how you stay young.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
and try new things. I started when I was 32, so.
But do you golf?
Oh, yeah.
I do. Yeah, I'm not like super competitive, but I guess I'm not embarrassingly bad.
No, John's pretty good. I mean, he's our friends are terrible, so it's hard to do a comparison.
Helps bring up my average.
Don't get mad, you group of friends.
Colton's gotten a lot better since playing over the winter in the indoor league.
Colton,
Yes.
I already assumed that you were like
I got
the golfer.
I'm
look like
I'm
a
almost like I
golfer.
can't meet my you know what I feel like? If you guys watch Seinfeld, I feel like when Jerry beats the guy running and it's because he jumps at the starting line, like the gun goes off, but he already got like 2 steps start, and the guy that was racing him knew it, but no one else saw it. And so he refused to race again because he knew the other guy could smoke him, right? And so this like legend grew. And so I feel like I'm in the legend part because of this winter's indoor league, where now somehow my handicap is 2, and I don't know how that's possible. But I don't know.
Owen's going to get out on the course and be
I'll
like,
probably be
I want to
terrible.
get back on that simulator.
Man, it's going to be so bad. As the legend builds, now they think I'm going to hit well.
I will talk about another really cool thing, and maybe I won't achieve the agreement here, but I think it was 2 weeks ago, Noah's girlfriend called my wife and said, I want to surprise Noah. It's our date night, but we want to do it with you and Jason. We're going to go do axe throwing.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Yeah,
I've
I
actually
didn't
never
honestly.
done it.
I haven't done it either.
I didn't even know it existed there in Red Mountain. They had to like lead me there. I was driving, and I was apprehensive. I'm like, okay, worried about the shirt coming up when you're throwing and all this stuff. It's like, well, give it a shot.
Yeah.
Again, craft beer, some phenomenal
Big plus.
That
Starts
was
out
the-
with a big
that was the
plus.
sale.
phenomenal
Yeah.
craft beer there. $25 for an hour.
Yeah.
The guy comes over to your lane and explains to you there's 2 sizes of axes that you can throw, the 2 or 3 different methods of which you can throw them. And we had a blast.
Yeah. I've never done it.
I have to say, legitimately, one of the best times I've had in a while, just with something new.
Yeah.
Out of your element.
Yeah.
You're not expecting to have fun. Sort of like the party you get invited to where I don't want to go, but you go there and you have a blast.
Yeah.
And this was that exact.
Those are the best nights. Yeah.
So I was apprehensive, but we had a blast. And watching my wife, everybody watching me, and just taking in the whole, and it was packed. The facility was packed.
Was it? Good.
They're doing really well. There's a location in Plover, I think, and I think they
Oh, it was packed? What day did you go?
It
was on a weekend?
Yeah, it was I want to say a Friday or Saturday.
Yeah.
They were doing well.
Seems to
Yeah,
be
that's
kind of
good.
a, trendy thing that like the Top Golf,
Yeah.
So they're
Top Golf is
It's
a
the new.
riot.
It's the new bowling.
Yeah, they're taking it to
Yeah.
this level now where he was explaining to me, where you walk in, you have your lane, there's a board that you're aiming your axe at. Now they're doing something with a screen.
Yeah.
So the screen will basically show you different targets that you can throw at.
Okay.
It's not just the same bullseye over and over and over. There's a
Yeah.
little more to it.
So it's
But
kind of like the golf sim.
yeah, sort of like a simulator.
Yeah.
But I didn't realize there's a league. There's a summer league, a winter league. There's a youth league. It's one of
so
things things where
I
you
had
hear
no
about
idea
it.
that
You had no idea that it was that big. And there's
Yeah.
pictures of people and their points and their league. And it's like, wow. But anybody wants to check it out for an hour, $25. That's not,
Yeah,
Think
that's
about
really
it.
not bad.
It's not that bad.
Yeah, no,
it's a lot of fun.
That's awesome. Yeah. I mean, we kind of have to get creative in Wisconsin winters. You know,
You're right.
We can't just drink through the winter. We have to find something.
Ice fishing.
Yeah, no
Fish
thanks.
fries. Fish fries, ice fishing.
Fish fries.
axe throwing.
Axe throwing.
Yeah.
When is the curling season?
We just ended actually. It usually starts around Halloween and then like first, second week of March. So kind of gets you through those rough months.
It's a phenomenal facility. It took
It
me
is,
10 years
yeah.
of living out here before I even knew that area even existed.
It is
back
kind of
there.
hidden.
I
It's
had
hidden.
no idea it was there either. Yeah. But you come in there, you come in there, there's bright lights, it gets dark at 4:30 at night here, in the winter, but you go in there, there's bright lights, there's fireplace roaring, people hanging out. There's a huge industrial kitchen there. So a lot of people make meals before the matches and, you're just hanging out and having drinks and eating and just kind of, you meet people from everywhere.
sure.
And there's a lot of people there I've met that kind of moved here not knowing anyone and just joined. And, it's a great way to get kind of involved in the community.
Connect.
I think.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's a big thing too. Like, I mean, we talk about it on the, like, obviously I'm on the chamber board and we talk about like placemaking and one of the biggest things is like, how do you get people, like when you're, in your 40s or late 30s, it's really hard to meet people.
Oh my goodness.
It's
I can't
awkward.
imagine.
It's really hard. Those people have their group already and it's like, you're kind of that outsider. And so having programs like that where you can like, integrate in a natural way, like an organic way, where it's not it doesn't feel so forced and like.
Yeah, and I think they do a good job. I mean, I can speak to the curling club because when we joined, they just they try to put you with somebody that's more experienced if you don't have a team or anything, and that's super helpful, especially for like somebody who's vulnerable and doesn't like to, is maybe nervous about trying something new or doesn't know anybody.
Yeah,
like that's to your point, like that can be hard when you get in your 30s and 40s to meet people and try something new and.
Yeah.
Especially if you're not from that area originally, you don't have that kind of built-in family or, friends from high school still hanging around. But, it's tough.
We can relate to that. In 2002, I moved my wife and Noah, who was a year old, to Merrill.
The promised land.
You're an outsider there for a long time.
You're always an outsider there.
And everybody would ask you, what's your name? I'd say Jason, last name, Parrott. You get the look.
I don't know it.
I don't know you.
They're going through their
Yeah,
Rolodex.
where are you from? Where are you from?
In their back.
Do you know where you are?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're lost. You're really, really lost.
I'm figuring that out. We always talk about that. It took 3 years, I think, before we even met anybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's just, the community's great, but it's a hard community to penetrate. But I think that resonates through a lot of areas. It's just, like you said, where do you go? If you move here for a new job or whatever, number one, you got to try to find a place to live.
Right.
You go through that. You go through that struggle. Then it's like, okay,
Now I have to meet someone.
now I got to meet some people. Where do I go?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is tough.
That's,
yeah.
I always enjoy kind of to spin this back to real estate. That is kind of one cool thing
that's
about
good.
our job is that, we get people that come from out of state. And I love working with people like that because you're almost like,
You're their first friend.
you're a spokesperson for the city.
It's kind of true though, really.
It really is.
yeah.
I mean, I can't tell you how many people I've driven around or say, hey,
These are the
hey, what
restaurants
restaurants are
you
you going
should-
to?
yeah,
Or
yeah.
have you been to Rib Mountain? Or, have you, I probably dropped the curling club in there, just little things that they might not know about. And you're right. You're almost like their first friend.
You're their
when they
tour
come to
guide.
the-
Yeah.
when
Kind
they
of.
come to a city.
Sure.
So
I mean, it's
I
kind
can
of
see
that.
that.
it is kind of interesting. And, that's what's cool about doing what I do is being able to share kind of the, unique things about our area or, maybe things that people wouldn't know about central Wisconsin and introducing them to, I guess how we live up here.
Yeah. Well, maybe
that a
we
good
should
wrap up for
That
you?
was a good wrap up.
Yeah, good wrap up.
Yeah, we're gonna
is
bring
really
it in
good.
for a landing. We thank you guys for paying attention to our rambling and maybe even learn something. I know I did.
I did too.
Thank you, John, for joining us.
Thanks, John.
Thank you guys
Thanks for
for
having me.
watching. Obviously, we want you guys to subscribe to the page and, of course, our website, TommyDocs.com. So thank you guys. Have
Take
fun on
care.
the water.